I guess good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with the Dean, our 2021-2022 edition. This is the first for this academic year. As you may be aware, we started this Coffee with the Dean series last year during the height of the pandemic. And we covered various topics that we are passionate about, and we are working as a teaching, research, and innovation in those areas, such as water and sanitation, health and well-being, mobility, and so on. Today, we wanted to start our 2021-2022 Welcome a Coffee with the Dean series with a very important topic, which is really hurting higher education, especially in engineering, which is about diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have an outstanding group of our alumni panelists here today that can share their viewpoints around DEI and also being able to maybe at the end asking you how you can help us enhancing, advancing DEI in engineering, especially Wayne State College of Engineering. I strongly believe that the more diverse we are, the stronger we are. Diversity is an asset that we welcome in our college. I can tell you that since 2012, we have seen 80% increase in our women students in the college. We are about 26% of our students are women, which is way high above the national average of 16%. We have seen 167% increase in Hispanic students since 2012, due to our outreach to various schools in Detroit and surrounding areas. Our women, African-American students has increased by 39% since 2014. And also we did deliberately make sure that as we recruit new faculty, because diverse faculty will bring diverse student and also enhance our diversity to grow the diversity and success. That 21% of our newly hired faculty are women, and 2 of the department chairs out of 8 are women as well too. And through this exercise, we have also seen FDIAC retention, first time in college retention among African-American underrepresented minorities in our college, 90% retention from first to second year. So we have done a lot over the past several years. However, we have a long way to go. And with that, I wanted to introduce my moderator here, Julius Reeves, who is a manager of cross-engineering strategy at General Motors. And Julius received his industrial engineering degree program from Wayne State, a bachelor's degree, master's degree in system engineering from the University of Michigan, Dearborn, and MBA from the University of Chicago with concentration in finance and business strategies. So you can see Julius's hobby is to collect degrees, and I congratulate him for that. Julius also plays an important role in our college. He is chairing engineering alumni council for the college, and also served in our Wayne State College of Engineering Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Board and the University of Michigan Dearborn Alumni Society Board. With that, Julius.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Dean. And I just wanted to welcome everyone, as the Dean did earlier, to the coffee today. Today's topic on enhancing and advancing DEI and engineering is really timely and important for a number of reasons. One, it helps prepare, students for today's workforce. 2, it improves the experience of students at the college. And then 3, as the Dean was mentioning, it sets the foundation for future students to want to go to Wayne State, and also attractiveness for faculty that wants to go to the college. Personally, I'm like Dean said, I'm working at a large, Fortune 500 company right now, and I see the many benefits because for sure we are very engaged with DEI commitment and activity, and I've seen the changes since I've been at the corporation a long time. in terms of employee satisfaction, greater access to opportunities than in the past, and also retention. Personally, I'm involved in, like Dean was mentioning, a few things at Wayne State, but I'm also involved in recruiting and engagement activities beyond just Wayne State, but with National Society of Black Engineers for GM, and also a DEI board member, engineering alumni board, and then also I mentor, which is a very important part, I thought, of DEI activities, mentor a lot of diversity candidates, personally. And then also an enterprise resource group at General Motors called GM African American Network. I'm pretty involved and engaged with that. And the last thing is, in terms of outreach, I work a lot with DASEP, Detroit Area Pre-College Engineering Program, the Engineering Society of Detroit, and also I teach a few classes in junior achievement and for things like learn how to start your own business and just really being successful in life through education. So definitely today's topic is very timely, and I appreciate the honor of being able to be the moderator. And so I'm gonna introduce the different panelists at this time and let them give a brief kind of idea of their background and also answer a question. So, Audrey, is that fine if I kind of work to that?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Julius.
Okay, you're welcome. So, so the first person I will ask to give a brief background and also answer a question would be Avinash Rachmale. And the question I have for you, Avinash, is as an international alum starting a business in Detroit, in Detroit in the U.S., what obstacles did you encounter related to DEI, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Julius and everybody, Audrey, Dean Farshad, and everybody, all my panelists here. Good morning, everybody, and all the attendees. So it's an honor to be here and talk about my business and what I have achieved here through Wayne State education. So that's very important here. I'm a Wayne graduate, 1989, from civil engineering. Before that, I graduated from India, university close to Mumbai, in bachelor's in civil engineering. That is 1985 and 1989 graduate from Wayne State in civil engineering. I started my business in 1994 as a construction design build firm. So what we do is we do major infrastructure for US municipalities as well as military constructions. We are located here in Detroit, right a stone throw away from the Wayne State. We can see our building right from the Wayne State campus. So I was fortunate enough to use this diversity and inclusion to grow my business to next level. So since 1994, our business has grown to hundreds and thousands of employees. We work in 14 different countries as well as different states in the United States. Our major business in 3 sectors. One is water, wastewater infrastructure. So we are one of the largest cities water, wastewater contractor. We build water treatment plant, we build sewer lines, pump stations. Then we do all the water related services. That's one division. Second division is military construction. All over the world, we are helping US military in Air Force, Army, and Navy building their facilities. In fact, in Afghanistan, we did a lot of work. I see that now Afghanistan going in ruins. That really hurts us. We built first runway in Afghanistan. Similarly, in Iraq, we built the first water treatment system there. So we did a lot of work. We did work for US military in 14 different countries. So now we have pulled back and we are focused in US now, because as you know that US infrastructure is aging and there's a lot of money being spent in the United States, and we are focusing. And third group is maintaining those facilities. That's facility management, our third group. So how did I grow this company to this level? So first thing, I'm a Wayne graduate. I'm very proud to be a Wayne graduate. In fact, I have donated engineering lab to Wayne State, and that lab will be opening sometime end of this year. In fact, because of the COVID and all that, the materials, what we need, cranes and all other equipment and steel got delayed. So that opening will happen sometime later part, but that is endowed by my foundation. Similarly, we have set up a scholarship for the Wayne State Engineering School. The students who are graduating from universities, such as Detroit and Highland Park, and where diversity is a lot more. So how did I grow this business using the diversity? So if you look at it, every city, Audrey, can you put the slide up there? So what are the challenges we have here when you are minority and when you are not from the same culture? So there are three difficulties I had when I was growing the business. The one was cultural. Then first we had to overcome the cultural issues, and that you are talking about 1985, 1986 when I came to this country. The internet and all our other medias were not there, so it was difficult to learn the culture also that time. But now things have gotten better. But still there is a culture. When students are coming from overseas, the students are a different race and they have not grown up here. Definitely there is a cultural difference that we had to overcome that. So how did I overcome that? We had some tutors, some agencies. They helped us in those days. So just learning the culture. Sometimes people get shut down if they don't really get into the culture. Then getting the finance from institution as well as from the investors is difficult when you have a new business and you are a minority person or person from a different origin. It is difficult. So for that also there are various resources available in this country. As I put this slide out there, SBA is one of the great resource that everybody can use. I think this country is made up of all immigrants, as you know, and I think our country is doing a great job in including all those diverse people. So if you the people who wanted to start a business, who want to grow their business to next level, they can look at this website, sba.gov. There are various contracting assistance programs are there. If you are a small business, woman-owned, veteran, 8A, I took advantage of 8A Business Development Program. 8A Business Development Program is for the students or for the people who came from other part of the world, which are minorities such as Hispanic, African Americans, Indians, and then the people from different continents. They have that economically disadvantaged category. So that's the category I use, and approximately 3% of the spending budget is set aside for this kind of categories. So you are competing in a small group. Now you are not competing in a big group. So I think we should use this kind of programs to excel your business and grow your business. So if you look, I would advise everybody to go to this website and look at not only the SBA, there are every city, every county, every state has these kind of programs to help the businesses. Can you go to the second slide, please? I think we got stuck there.
Yep. One moment. Yeah, I think I may need to.
Yeah, and also just to do a time check, we probably would need to give you one more minute to move on.
1 more minute, okay, good.
Thanks.
So then I don't need to have that slide. Then you're okay. You're okay. So what I wanted to show is that City of Detroit has a program also. If you are a City of Detroit business, you are a minority business, you are a woman-owned business, then you get 3 percentage point difference from other competitor. So if your bid is 3% higher, still you will win the project. Based on that's how they are. Similarly with the state of Michigan, similarly with the Wayne County. So I had that chart there. That's what I was going to show. But saying that, those are the tools I use to grow the business. So I think what message I want to give it to all the minorities and all the people who from different countries that so there is a great chance, there's a great program here in this country that you can make use of it. You shouldn't be feeling small. using this kind of program. So those are designed for that, because that will make a field plain for you to compete. Otherwise, there is not a plain field to compete. So, but all the what I can say that things goes to Wayne State. Wayne State is I'm a Wayne State graduate. That's the university I grew, and that's where I learned a lot of things. 2 years I was on campus. I had great friends there. Dr. Ralph Kohlmuller, he was a previous chairman. He was a great friend of mine. We had a great time together. So I have that affection for Wayne State. So, yeah. Julius, over to you. I think I took more time than needed. Thank you again.
Okay. Well, thanks, Avinash. I mean, I think that was very helpful about, the obstacles, which with growth and everything that and the tools that you use. So I think that's very, very helpful, especially, for a diverse, firm that you created. So I'm gonna go to question 2 with Uma Raghavan. And Uma, if you can just give a brief information about your background. And then the question I have for you is why is diversity, equity, and inclusion important to you? What did you see in the workforce, and how did this lead you to instituting 2 scholarship funds in the college?
Yeah, thank you, Julius. Good morning, everyone. I'm Uma Raghavan. I got my master's in computer science in 1994, and I'm a proud alumna of Wayne State University. I'm a tech entrepreneur and a seasoned technology executive. I'm an entrepreneur in residence at Allen Institute of AI Incubator at Seattle. I'm currently on a sabbatical to take care of my elderly parent in India. Previously, I was the founder and CTO of Integris, a VC-funded enterprise software company that I founded at Seattle, and it was acquired by OneTrust in June of 2020, where I championed ethics in privacy and computing. So I'm a 29-year veteran technology executive, who's headed billion-dollar charters, web scale, leading very large business engineering product teams for eBay, Amazon, Microsoft, Walmart, and Daimler Chrysler. My passion is in the distributed computing space at the intersection of AI, ML, big data, and cloud computing constructs. I got my baptism by fire at Wayne State, for which I'm very, very glad, where I spent time, under Dr. Fotouhi, and others in the computer science department. I'm also an active angel investor on the board of Overlake Hospital Bellevue and Seattle's Town Hall. And I'm also an advisor for Wayne State's Department of Computer Science. About the question, why is DEI, I'm going to break it into 3 parts, the question that Julius asked. So why is DEI important to me? As a brown woman who has spent nearly 3 decades in testosterone-driven world of technology and the deep hallways of computer science, doing hands-on engineering work and being a technology executive, that to a woman, starting as an entrepreneur in my mid-40s as a CTO and a founder, I've very much been dealing with DEI all my life and every stage of my career in America. So DEI is almost like oxygen for women in technology like me. And especially as a founder, it was important for me to internalize diversity, equity, and inclusion at the fundamental level, so I could set up very equitable DEI programs in places I was heading. So plus, as we've seen, it's even beyond corporations and organizations and academia, right? With BLM and other movements affecting more and more people, we're also dealing with the pandemic. They've shown that critically that the stark inequalities have always been there, and it's just affecting more and more people. So it's imperative that DEI is at the core of every organization, not just as a performative act, but as something every individual and every organization commits deeply at a personal level to champion DEI. So that's why it's very, very important to me. Now that leads me, to the nice segue to answer, what did I see in the workplace in the last 3 decades that I've worked? I have to be very honest and say, at most workplaces, unfortunately, diversity is just a big checkbox. It's a goal to strike off and some target numbers to meet. It is not backed by the E piece, right? So the D piece is done, but the E piece, which is the fair process of having programs, protocols in place to ensure diverse groups and the diverse thoughts are welcome at the decision-making tables. And the I part is the one that it's almost completely ignored, where inclusion, right? It's the least focused part of the DEI, in my opinion. So let me quote my favorite Silicon Valley DEI expert, Verna Myers, who I believe is at Netflix as a VP. She said, diversity is being invited to the party and inclusion is being asked to dance. And I think that strikes to the core of it, right? So we now have more women in technology, the numbers are looking better, but definitely, we're far from enough. But still, the questions to ask is, are women being paid equitably? Are they treated fairly? Why are we still having high maternal deaths with Black mothers, despite being the first? Well, I'm now on the board of a large hospital, so we, look at those questions. If you look at the world, and now, to talk about the workplace, if you look at the world of AI and facial recognition technologies, the bots are learning the human biases. And some of the human biases could be in your blind spot. It's not because they want to do it, but it's in your blind spot. And the bots, the robots, the software is learning all of this. And now we're leaving DEI in the dust. We have pricing algorithms that offer items at a higher price for women than men. We have facial recognition algorithms that discriminate Black and brown people. We still have cameras designed for the white skin tone. So accessibility and inclusiveness is lacking for our differently abled populations, and especially the more we work remotely, and then we've also, not done things for LGBTQ communities. So in my opinion, DEI is not just some HR issue or not, to something that C-suite needs to think about. We now live in a world where DEI needs to be even inside our algorithms. And it is super critical. We deal with all of this with absolute ethics and absolute equity, which is why I was focused on ethics and privacy with my startup previously. And now I'm at the Allen Institute and looking at the intersection of healthcare. So, we make all this core part of it, even in the engineering space, in every bit of your software. And about the last question, and how did it all lead me to Institute 2 scholarship funds in the college? I would say in 1992, when I arrived in Detroit, immediately it struck me that I, as a foreign student of Indian origin, a young woman, quite not 21, had this tremendous opportunity of pursuing graduate degree in computer at Wayne State, and I got even funded for it, thanks not only to the wonderful university, but also the tax-paying American public who welcomed international students like me to do research here. So I'm very grateful to have studied under Dr. Fotouhi, Dr. Grosky, and so many others in the Department of Computer Science with focus in distributed computing, just about when the commercial internet took off, in 1994. So personally, DEI was working for me at a personal level where I could study in Detroit. I went off to Arkansas and I took the big Fortune company to an internet. Then I moved to Seattle, then I worked in Silicon Valley, started my own company in my 40s. But there's a bit of a dichotomy here, I noticed that the hardworking students from the Detroit schools did not have that same access to the opportunities I had as a foreign Indian student. And that is the absolute truth. So it is critical to understand that I, as it was very privileged growing up in India due to the caste hierarchies in India, and my caste location as a Brahmin opened all kinds of invisible doors of opportunity for me, both in India, where I got subsidized undergrad engineering, and the ability to pursue higher education in America with funding. So the absolute truth is many of us privileged South Asian Americans do have white adjacent privileges. In addition, we get the model minority boost. But I have much more opportunities than any marginalized community in America, especially the children of Detroit. Plus in technology, I noticed a lot of people would talk about pipeline problem where we cannot hire enough Black engineers, especially in Silicon Valley. They talk about that a lot. And they blame that, oh, there are not enough Black children or girls pursuing STEM. So as a founder, I've dug deeper and think the truth is actually somewhere else. We don't have enough support systems to help youth pursue STEM engineering degrees, and even less support systems to pursue and sustain them to do graduate studies and research in America. So it was my small way of giving back to this wonderful community around Wayne State by setting up these two endowments, notably to create with National Society of Black Engineers and scholarship for the College of Engineering. Plus, I'm very proud that Wayne State University is one of the large urban universities in America that hosts a diverse population of students, including being a large urban Black college. To that regard, this university and the great Detroit community invited me, the greater Detroit area community invited me not only to the party in America, but to my first dance with higher education. So, and it is only my turn to ensure more kids from the greater Detroit area region to get their turn to be asked to dance, with education and get scholarships to pursue engineering and computer science in undergrad and grad schools here at Wayne State University. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Wow, that was really a great response. And we really appreciate, you've given us your, feedback on that. And especially when you said inclusion, inclusion is a big key because I think, like you say, the D and E parts kind of in action and been in action for a while, but the inclusion part is the toughest part, and we still have ways to go on that. And also the support systems you mentioned, like we have to, can't take our eye off of the support system. So really appreciate your response, and just, just seeing how passionate you are about that was definitely encouraging and impressive. So appreciate that.
Thank you, Julian. Yes, Wayne State made me the woman I am, and living in Detroit changed me immensely. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Well, thank you. So I'm going to move over to our next panelist, Sue Avinash. And Sue, I'd like for you to answer this question. Why is diversity, equity, and inclusion important to you? What did you see in the workforce, and how did this lead to you helping the Dean begin the Women in Engineering Leadership Society?
Thank you, Julius. First of all, I'm extremely honored to be a part of this panel. Very impressive. I just was totally engrossed in what you were saying. Very fascinating. I absolutely love it. A little bit about myself. I graduated from Wayne State University with a master's in mechanical engineering back in 1987. I have worked in the automotive industry for 33 years. I worked for a company at the time I hired in. It was called Chrysler. It's been through various name iterations since. I began working in the early 1980s as a product engineer, designing and developing engine cooling systems. And throughout my career then progressed ultimately to various executive positions, not only in engineering, but procurement and supply, manufacturing, supplier quality, and quality. So I had a rather diverse career. As the others have mentioned, I'm extremely thankful for the foundation that Wayne State University gave to me and to my career. I'm very proud to be a Wayne State supporter. As far as diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's very important. It's very important to me, and it's impacted me in my career in many different ways. I think we all benefit with the acceptance of DEI, not only personally, professionally, and most importantly as a society. I firmly believe, there's the adage that says 2 heads are better than 1. I would say that only holds true when those 2 heads are of diverse thought. That's when we improve, when we have groups that have diverse thoughts that come from our diverse backgrounds. Let's face it, when I hired into Chrysler in the early 80s, there was no diversity. I was the only woman in the room for years. I hired into a department of 70 engineers, 69 of which were white males. It presented challenges and it presented opportunities, in all honesty. So it was the society in which we lived. It was the times in which we lived. But at that time, I would say diversity was thought of something that we had to do, must do, similar to what Uma had said. It was a check the box mentality. We had to have a certain percentage of diversity in our groups and our departments. Throughout my career, I saw that advance to where DEI should be something that we should do. So we made significant strides from going to must to should, and I think we're working towards where it's just the natural thing to do and the right thing. That's what we should be working towards. I would say that throughout my career, I lacked role models and resources to guide me through the challenges that I faced. There was nobody that I could go to that was experiencing what I was experiencing. Women were far and few between. And I also found, and this could be somewhat controversial, it could be a whole meeting of itself, but especially later in my career as I was advancing and starting to mentor other women as well, I found that sometimes as women, we could be our own worst enemies, that we weren't as supportive of other women as we should be. And I made a mental note of that and wanted to change that and reach out to as many women as I could to help mentor and foster through the system. So therefore, a few years ago, I retired. I probably failed to mention that early on, but I am now retired and living in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. And I was having a conversation with Dean Fotouhi and Chris, and was talking to them about, right now I have the luxury of time. And if there's anything that I could do to help the university or the College of Engineering with my time, I would be open to that. Not really expecting a response. And a few months later, they reached out to me and said, hey, we think we have an opportunity for you. We feel that our female students could benefit from having role models and people to reach out to. And they asked me to think about that. And as a result, we created the Women in Engineering Executive Leadership Society. We rolled this out, I'm guessing about a year ago, we rolled this out, and we are now 32 members strong. I see some of our members are joining us this morning, so I definitely appreciate that. All of our members are successful female alumni of the College of Engineering, which includes engineering technology and computer science. And our goal is to be visible role models and to participate in activities that empower the female students of the university. Most recently, a few weeks ago, we held a virtual career fair preparation session with students, helping them prepare for their upcoming career fair, answering questions that they may have about their resumes or interview advice, how to develop an elevator speech, and a fun category of Ask Me Anything, where they could just ask us anything, whether it was related to the career fair or not. So that's one type of thing that we're doing. We are really hoping that once we're able to do more in-person events, we will have a bigger presence on the campus working with these students. We have a strong alliance with the Society of Women Engineers, so that we're getting their feedback on what type of activities we can participate in, but we really want to help coach and mentor the female students at Wayne State. I will say, although our focus is the female students and we are all women in this Engineering Leadership Society, we want to be visible to all the students, not just the women, because we want everyone to see firsthand the successes that women engineers can achieve. So hopefully all of the students will reap some benefit from the society being in existence. If there's anybody in this call that is interested in getting more information on the society, you can find it on the College of Engineering's website. And please reach out to us if you're interested in participating. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Julius.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Sue. I really appreciate your response. And I can relate to when you say 1986, in the 80s, where challenges and opportunities, because I was, like you say, the only minority in a room when I started GM in a lot of places. So I can relate to that. And also, just your women in leadership, program you begin. I think that's a really good thing. And I guess it inspires others to get involved, or at least commit to doing something similar, because that's really, really helpful and needed, and especially in the engineering space, women in leadership positions. And so, and I personally work for a company where our CEO is a woman, so you work
right.
for, and we have a lot of women in leadership at General Motors. And so I think, it like you say, it brings more diversity in thinking, and also just really a lot of women have done great things with the different organizations they've been given their lead and everything. So, but yeah, I really like what you're doing. And also I might have to make a call out to you for the Engineering Alumni Association, some engagement, so with some of our programs and stuff like that. So thanks a lot for
absolutely.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to the next panelist, Dewan Woods. And Dewan if you can give a brief background about yourself, and also can you share, the question you have is, can you share 3 to 4 highlights Wayne State University is currently working on as it relates to DEI initiatives?
Yes, thank you, Julius, and I am honored to be a part of this this discussion about an important topic. I'd like to start with Dwan Woods, Director of Corporate Relations here at Wayne State University, and I work with all the schools, colleges, and units. I want to start with leadership. So I think DEI leadership really starts with our President Emory Wilson, and his commitment to really having Wayne State be a beacon and a pillar for not only this community, but an example for universities throughout the world. So we are located in Detroit. And as Uma said, we provide opportunities to students of color, international students, and every student in between, if they're non-traditional, traditional. And so when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, we are really a big tent. To that point, President Wilson has started an initiative, a Social Justice Action Committee, which is creating the model for the ways that the university can increase diversity in its staffing, its hiring, and its relationships. And actually, a part of that committee, it is being helmed by our Chief Diversity Officer, Marquita Chambly. I want to give a shout out to Heidi Coates, who's on this call. She's the AVP for Corporate and Foundation Relations. Heidi's my boss, but she also serves on the Social Justice Action Committee. In addition to that, Wayne State also has a commitment to the community that we serve. We're an urban serving institution located in Detroit. And so recently, it's a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, well, with the pandemic, you have to forgive me, 3 years ago, started a program called Heart of Detroit, which is a free tuition program for Detroiters in need. And so it's a tuition pledge so that economic challenges should not be a barrier to a higher education, a great higher education at Wayne State. So the president spearheaded that initiative. And along with that, there have been recent awards, national awards for our increase in student graduation rates in the underserved population. So we received the national award 2 years in a row for being the top university for increasing the graduation rates amongst those folks. I can't stop there. I also have to say Dean Farshad Fotouhi has been an exceptional leader in the DEI space, and the commitment that he has in his leadership to ensure that the College of Engineering is providing opportunities for all students. That's something that I don't think we get enough publicity, and certainly we don't, there isn't enough credit given to the college for its efforts. 2 examples. One is the work that Jasmine Roberson is doing on engineering outreach to the K-12 space, the wonderful outreach efforts that are going out through programs such as the SMASH Academy, that Jasmine is playing a leadership role, and then the engineering, I think it's summer camps program, which really is it's an exposure program to a lot of students who otherwise wouldn't be aware of careers and opportunities in engineering and the talent that's involved, or the requirements that are involved. And then the other programming that I'll mention is the DTE Engineering Academy, otherwise known as the EOS program. And this is supported by DTE, but it's about providing opportunities for students who come to Wayne State to be able to successfully graduate from the College of Engineering. And so that statistic that Dean Fotouhi gave early on, about 90% retention from first to second year, that is the best in class. That's the best in class in the United States of all the colleges of engineering, according to NACRO, the National Association of Corporate Relations Officers. So I just want to lift that up to this audience, that while there are great things happening, there are opportunities ahead of us to support the College of Engineering. And the one thing I'll leave on this note is Wayne State is in the final processes of being designated a minority serving institution by the federal government. What that would do is put us in a category to receive funding and support for colleges and universities that serve a diverse population. And we're talking about the potential of millions and millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. And so getting the message out about Wayne State and the great work we're doing is going to be even more important for alumni, for friends, for the university, so that we can apply and receive this funding, which will help increase our mission, a successful mission as an urban serving institution. I'm also going to say he's going next, but Cedric Brooks is an exceptional leader that I have personally been working with. And I just want to say all of our companies and corporate partners that have Wayne State alumni who will work with Wayne State, that is one of the things that they talk about over and over: the quality of the education of a Wayne State alum, the grit, the tenacity, and then also the humility and the humbleness. And so I believe that's our secret sauce as a university. And really our success in the future is connected to the way that we train and the way that we connect with our diverse population. So Julius, thank you so much. And Julius Reeves has also been a great partner. And I can't tell you, working with him on a personal level and professional level, the college is fortunate to have him as the chair of the alumni committee. And I couldn't be prouder to be a part of this event today. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Dewan. You know, you can't say stuff like that because it kind of chokes me up, but yeah, I really appreciate it. And yeah, so it looks, very exciting to hear about all the activities Wayne State's involved in, and that new designation we might get is really, really encouraging and exciting. So, but yeah, thanks a lot for your responses, and everything, like you said, the secret sauce. We got to make sure we spread the secret sauce as much as possible, going forward. So. So yeah, so next and final panelist is Cedric Brooks. And Cedric, if you could give a brief bio and answer the question of how can academia prepare our future workforce as it relates to DEI awareness?
Absolutely. Thank you, Julius. Thank you, Dewan. Thank you to all the panelists. You guys have had some great insight, and it's definitely a pleasure to be here. So my name is Cedric Brooks. I am currently the Assistant Director of the Engineering Career Resource Center. So in that role, I am typically the last touch point for students as they head out the door, and the first touch point for employers as they start to recruit and engage Wayne State students, right? A large piece of my role is creating spaces where career development and higher education meet. Right, so we hear this huge push for, we need more women in STEM, we need more Black and brown students, we want to see LGBT populations represented, and typically those types of conversations come through my area. I'm also very active on the Social Justice Council here at Wayne State, and I'm a member of the DEI committee in the College of Engineering as well, okay? So in terms of what we can do in higher education to make sure that our students are prepared and ready for the workforce, I think of two responses. Access is not inclusion, and access is not equity, okay? So let's kind of break that down and talk about it just a little bit. So we know that our marginalized students are not typically exposed to the workforce overall. And that could be for several reasons, right? Maybe they come from single parent households, maybe their parents are working multiple positions. They don't really have that conversation at home, typically, compared to other students that maybe get that type of education in the workplace, or also maybe just have that type of exposure in general. So in terms of what higher education can do to ratify that, some of the things that we can do is incorporate experiential learning opportunities across the board, okay? So that way it just becomes normalized to the institution. And we see that a lot in the College of Engineering. Most of our students participate in internships and co-ops. So we definitely want a larger push for that. But in terms of our marginalized groups, we need to expose them to those experiential learning opportunities earlier and more often, okay? But when you do that, that also includes building and considering equity and inclusion when building those experiential learning opportunities. And how can you do that? So I want to talk about a few ways, and Uma kind of talked to some of this. Uma, you rock. Your points were definitely very well thought out. So removing barriers that typically block out those marginalized groups, right? I work with employers often, and a huge barrier toward receiving resumes from Black and Brown students is a GPA, right? They want a GPA above a 3.0, a GPA above a 3.5, instead of considering, the skill set. So maybe those students have that same skill set, they just don't have the GPA. And I'm sure all of you can think about when you were in school and now you're in the workplace, high GPA doesn't necessarily equate to a high work performance or being an excellent employee. So starting to incorporate more skill-based assessments would be the best way to do that. Also considering building more inclusive workspaces. So as COVID came, we all had to pivot on a dime and everything became virtual, and now we're starting to transition back. But let's think about how we can create blended workspaces to accommodate those with disabilities, but also to accommodate those with other learning styles, right? We know that everyone learns differently. So let's start to think about that a little bit more as well. And these are the conversations that I'm having with industry and also with employers. And lastly, across the board, when it comes to faculty, staff, students, and also industry and employers, let's start to incorporate more implicit bias, but also infinity bias training, okay? How can we start to at least plant seeds for what these biases begin and start with, right? So how can we start to incorporate those things in the classroom? I teach a 1-credit course, BE 1050, and that's something that I want to expose students earlier to. What are the biases that you may have without them getting defensive, right? Because they're unconscious and we all have them. So let's start to incorporate that type of conversation into the classroom. Let's start to incorporate the experiential learning aspects into the classroom as well. And I mentioned that it doesn't always have to be internships and co-ops. Some schools incorporate service learning. Some schools incorporate case studies earlier into the classroom. Let's think about what it could be like to have never been exposed to the workforce to begin with, right? And that includes a lot of unlearning and unpacking. And Wayne State is doing a great job at that. Lastly, before I segue back to Julius, I want to drop into the chat the Social Justice Action Committee report. And DeJuan talked a little bit about this as well. So in this report, it includes a lot of information of what Wayne State as a whole is doing in the areas of DEI, but it also has some aspects of where are the holes? What are some areas that we need to improve on? And I think that this is public information. Everybody has access to it. That's very important to contribute to this conversation also. So I'm going to drop that link into the chat. And Julius, I'm going to pass it back to you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks a lot, Cedric. And I just wanted to, say Cedric has been a really great person to work with at, with all the different activities I do with Wayne State. And I appreciate your response to the question. And also, like you mentioned, experimental learning and removing barriers. And I think those are really some key points that you brought across. And even at my company, we have tried to look at more than just GPA now, because before it was just like a 3.0 deal, like you were saying, but now they're looking more at kind of the skills and things like that. So, I do think that that roadblock is beginning to, even for large corporations, beginning to, get lowered, to help doing what you were talking about. So appreciate your responses, and I really appreciate all the panelists' responses. I'm going to turn it back over to Audrey, but just, like I said, once again, thank you. Great responses. I mean, I'm definitely want to get a list of all the things that came out of this meeting. So yeah, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Audrey.
And I will go ahead and turn it over to Farshad. For any of you who have questions, feel free to enter those in the chat box or use the raise hand feature. But Farshad, you have the mic.
Yeah, I want to again thank you, Julius, for being our moderator here, and also sharing with us the work that you are doing outside of the work, your real work, to enhance diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think this is something that we all need to do if you want to change the culture around our workplace. One of the things that I can see that happening within our universities setting when we have competitions, for example, robotic teams that are competing in intelligent ground vehicle competition, if you look at the configuration and the formation of that team, they're all black, white, male, female, they're all there, international, domestic students. So it's amazing that how they can work together for getting that competition going. So we kind of do that not only in our type of project-based activities, applied-based learning, also we are doing it in our classroom setting. So we are not done yet. We need a lot more to do. And we're happy to hear your thoughts and comments on how best we can improve and enhance that for our college. Any question that you may have?
Yeah, Dean, I think I see in the chat box there, there's
Yeah.
a question that came up from, is it Jess Brown?
Yes, that's correct. Hello.
Okay, yeah, if you can
Hello.
state your question.
Yeah, so I am an engineering recruiter at Actilent Services. We're a sister company to Aerotech, which may sound more familiar to anyone on the call here. And I am the DEI chair for our delivery team. One of the questions that I did have, we're just starting to get this back into motion and trying to get the ball rolling come 2022. And I'm curious as to hear any best practices you all may think or have any advice for us to follow to change the culture, not only internally with our employees, but also externally with any of our engineering consultants.
Let me give you one example of what we are doing here from the faculty standpoint, from faculty hiring, because again, when you look at diversity, you're not only looking at students, but you're looking at faculty and staff. When we do have faculty searches that are authorized to the college departments to start searching for a new faculty hire, number one thing we do is to make sure that the search committee is diverse. And that something that we have emphasized over the past several years. And I can tell you that has led to successful recruitment of diverse group of faculty to our college. We also encouraging the chairs that in order to enhance the diversity of your faculty body, you can put an ad in a national paper and so on. But the other way to do that is to identify those individuals, engage with them, invite them to come and visit you or get them on the call and get them to know you and you know them better. And eventually that will lead to maybe when the job posting becomes available for them to apply and get successfully recruited. Our corporate partners, such as your company, have the opportunity to do similar things with the recruits, correct? Engaging with our Society of Black Engineers, engaging with Society of Hispanic Engineers, women engineers, get to know them, providing them with opportunities to meet with you guys and learn about the culture of your organization. And I think those will help to recruit those type of employees that you're looking for or qualified for work and also enhance the diversity in your organization. With that, I will leave it to Avinash and others, Susan and Cedric, to maybe continue responding to this.
Thank you for your input. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to add a little bit on to what Farshad mentioned. And this is kind of what I also mentioned when I spoke just a moment ago, the skills-based assessment also. So a lot of times, just based on the research, what we find is that in interviews, in that process, the interviewer is thinking of, can I see this person doing the job instead of does this person have the skills to do the job, right? So incorporating things like a skills assessment, a rubric assessment is a way to attempt to eliminate that, you know, and bring that bar down just a little bit. And I also want to point you toward NACE, the National Association of Colleges and Employers. They have a lot of really good materials and resources that are free online that you can access, and you can identify what might work best for your company. Sometimes I think all companies aren't ready to incorporate a skills-based assessment into the interview process or maybe some form of rubric, but NACE will also be a great resource for you as well.
Thank you, Cedric. I wasn't aware of that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yes, I can share a few things what we do at our organization. Our company has certain core values. Doesn't matter what kind of person walks in the door and we interview them. First, we look at the core values. Does he or she exhibit the core value? And once core values are there, then you can train the person. Culturally might not be there, but you can train the person. If core values are not there, then it gets difficult. Sometimes people have a great technical skill, but their core values are not there, then that will not fit in your organization. So that's one of the things I can share.
Thank you.
That's a great comment. You know, Wayne State is part of an initiative called the Detroit Equity Report, where we're working with our faculty to understand how corporations are grappling with their own internal diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And I just met with Dr. Peter Hammer about that particular report and the work around it. But, you know, you bring up a good point that each corporation is really trying to understand how they can do a better job in this space, and for us to understand really what the best practices are. I think it's a heavy lift. So it will be interesting as we move ahead to be able to share what the results of that work has been.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, go ahead. No, I was just going to mention from a corporation perspective at GM, you know, we've made it a very important initiative, you know, but it has to start at the top, you know, for anything to change at a company or entity, where you have to have, you know, really your top leadership, you know, committed to that, and then, you know, put in place kind of like, you know, messaging, and also it's got to be integrated into the daily work. You know, and I know within our company, we do like safety and DEI messages at the beginning of any meeting. That's a large meeting, you know, or medium-sized meeting, staff meetings, those kind of things. So, and then not just, you know, mentioning things at a meeting, but also activities. You have to have kind of structured activities that, you know, will engage the organization in this, and having some metrics to know, you know, are things, you know, working good or bad, you know, that's going on. So it's got to be kind of in the end, but it's also to be led from the top, just from what I've seen.
All right. We're having two or three more minutes. If any other question that might be coming up, or of course, we can be available. We can provide you with the list of attendees here. If you have any question after the meeting today, please feel free to contact them directly or route it through Chris Tyson, Audrey, Stefan, or Claire Brender, who are part of our team here at the college that can definitely help you answer directly. If you're looking for intern co-op type opportunities, Cedric is going to be a great asset to reach out to him and provide any input that you may need. Here's the list of the attendee, the moderators and panelists here, and their contact information. Again, it's something that we are very passionate about here in our college. We even partnered with National Council for Black Engineering, NACME, and through that we were able to secure a scholarship for underrepresented minorities who have a national network of learning about opportunities in engineering after they finish their education here in the college. So we are reaching out and finding more partners in those areas. Julius and the one mentioned about our outreach. We typically reach out to about 2,000 or so, 3,000 K through 12 students annually through our Beacon program, summer program, and so on. And the program that we are hoping to launch soon, that is to do with Summer Academy. That could be multi-year program because we do have residential hall. That would be more of a residential program to make sure we follow up the students to eventually lead to engineering program and graduating as an engineering degree. So it takes a lot of effort to be successful in this area. And of course, one thing is to recruit, and that is the diversity enhancement, but the other one is to inclusion and equity. And that is the part that we need to focus on our retention and providing an environment in which all of our students, faculty and staff could be able to feel comfortable working in such an environment, studying in such an environment. That is our goal. That is our mission here in the college. With that, I wanted to invite you also to join us. Our next Coffee with the Dean, which is, Audrey, come on, remind me, scheduled in November
11th.
November 11th at the same time, I guess.
Yes,
And
11
we
a.m.
are discussing innovation in engineering and medicine within the college. We're going to be talking to some of our faculty who have done some work around healthcare, and hopefully we can share some of that and plus more with you in our next Coffee with the Dean on November 11th. Again, one more time, I want to thank you, Julius. Thank you, our panelists.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all of you that were able to participate today and listening to our conversation. Thanks again.